Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Brandy Sanchez, and I'm a librarian here at the Columbia Public Library. It is my honor to welcome you to our online version of How to True False. I'm also our film series coordinator here at the Columbia Public Library, so it is um, I'm very excited every year to help put this program together. Before we introduce our panelists, I did want to let you know about two really great resources that you can access from home with your library card. And the first is a really great resource called Canopy. So, if you're interested in documentaries, indie films, foreign movies, you should give this service a try because we've got 30,000 different films for you to choose from. They work on tablets, smartphones, smart TVs, and you can also use it if you've got an Apple TV, a Roku, a Chromecast. So all of that is completely free with your library card. We also carry select true false films from the last 10 years, which is also pretty cool. So you have this opportunity to bring the fest home for you to enjoy long after true false season is over. So be sure to check that out. And I will drop those links in the chat here in just a little bit. But first, I would like to introduce Barbie Banks. She is part of a trio, am I correct? Three strong women leading the True False Film Society and, the Ragtag Film Society and the True False Film Fest. So take it away, Barbie.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I want to say before we start talking about the fest that this year during the pandemic, when we were pirouetting and figuring out ways to complete our mission without gathering a bunch of people indoors, we created Ragtag at Home. And it is a curriculum with films on Canopy that people can watch. And then there's discussion questions and fun activities for you to do with your family. Some of them are geared towards kids, other ones are just for anyone to watch. And so we love the service Canopy and encourage everybody to go on there and watch them. They're not all true false films. There's a wide variety of type of film. And so go visit our website to see all of those. And I think we were talking about things we'll continue doing. I think that's something we'll continue doing even when the pandemic is over. So, but back to true false. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope we can answer a bunch of questions. I know we do this every year and there's lots of new questions about how it normally runs. And this year things are going to be even different. You expect from us to be able to come for a weekend and enjoy great films and music and art that kind of changes the way you view the world after you do it. And we're going to do the same thing this year, except for the whole experience is going to be something that blows your mind. It's going to be different than we've ever done, outside, physically distanced and masked. And I think it's going to be one of those things that in years to come, people are going to be talking about where they were and if they attended this festival. So if you have not gotten your pass yet, I think it's time to do it. Purchase one online. We have lots of different options. We'll go over those in a little bit. And we also have lots of tickets for sale if you're not ready to commit to a whole pass. And I just can't thank our community enough for having faith in us to put something on like this. And we hope that we're giving back tenfold to you. And that's what this year's fest is going to be, a celebration of coming out of a hard year and revitalizing Columbia with a great fest in one of our great parks. So I'm going to kick it over to Stacy Pottinger, who's going to introduce the panelists, and she'll be able to share a little bit more about what each one of them is going to share with you. They've been working extremely hard. I cannot thank all of our staff and volunteers that are coming up enough for all the hard work that they've put in. So Stacy, take it away. Hold on, we can't hear you.
Really?
Now you're good.
My mic keeps doing that. Somebody just yell at me because I'll swap out. Thank you, Barbie, and thank you, Brandy, for asking us to be here today. I've got a few. I wanted to now my mic is throwing me off, but I wanted to let people know how we're going to do this tonight. We're just going to go one by one through the panel of people who are here. We'll talk about music. We'll talk about COVID compliance. We'll talk about how to go about buying a pass, how to reserve your tickets. And then, maybe at the end, we'll tell you about some of the films. And Carly Love is our director of operations here, and she is standing by to correct any of us who make a mistake. We've all had to learn so much this year about how to do what we're doing because it's so different this year. But hopefully we're going to get everybody up to speed who's on the call, and everybody will know so much about the fest this year. But first, I want to hand it over to David Wilson, who is our interim artistic director for this year. And he's going to talk, he's still here, right? A little bit about the theme for this year, which is the nature of uncertainty.
Thanks, Stacy. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you. So as some folks know, every year we pick a artistic theme for True False. It kind of governs everything about the fest except for the actual programming we do. We don't pick movies really because of the theme. We don't pick bands because of the theme. But a lot of the other aspects of the fest, the theme helps guide us and inform us. It makes the fest feel fresh every year and different. And so this year's theme goes way back. I think we were probably even talking about it before last March, even though that feels like a whole other world. But then we settled on a theme for this year of the nature of uncertainty. It's one of our more obvious themes. We've had some very out there themes, some hard to decipher ones. This one I think is pretty straightforward. We are in uncertain times, and it has never felt more uncertain than the last 12 months of planning what a festival might look like in the middle of a pandemic. And the nature part, well, we've never gotten to do the fest outside before. So these are two really exciting, big aspects of this year's fest. And as always, we do sort of a deep dive. We're often really guided by science. Even though the theme is an artistic theme, we find ourselves really gravitating towards scientific essays. We wanted to understand all the different ways that people think about uncertainty and what it can be, and whether that's fractals or artificial intelligence or quantum theory. There's so many ways to approach uncertainty. But when we found we're looking for an artist, we knew also we wanted to find an artist who was outside of our normal parameters, somebody we hadn't worked with before, somebody who we thought could really kind of like grapple with a theme. And the artist we found, I think probably the nature side made sense more at first, but then the uncertainty really unfolded with him. This year's artist is named Mazat. He's a Mexican artist. He's based out of Chiapas, Mexico. He works in woodcuts and linotypes, and he does a lot of large-scale public art. He does murals and outdoor art and graffiti, but he also does posters and artwork for bands and stuff like that. We found him through a very cool artist collective called Just Seeds that focuses on activist work and posters of protest and change. And as soon as I started talking to him, he just got excited. He lit up. He understood what we were getting at with uncertainty. He wanted to kind of grapple with that. His work is really informed by some of the Mesoamerican deities, and that's what he brought to the project. And so actually, if we want to spotlight Stacy for a second, if she's there, doesn't mind being spotlighted. There is this year's poster in close up. That's Huehuecoyot, the Cody, one of the deities, and other deities are masked below him, gathered around the fire. We sort of think of watching movies as being like gathering around a fire and sharing stories. And all those deities represent different things in the Mesoamerican pantheon, but a lot of them have to do with spring, with change, and especially with art. These are gods of dance and poetry and music and all the things that we think make True False special. So I love this poster. I have to say it's one of my personal favorites we've ever done. And these will be out in the wild soon. So keep your eyes open for them. So that's it. That's all I have to say about theme. And we can dive into some of the other aspects of the fest. And I'll be popping back up at the end to talk about some movies.
Hate that. I saw David sneak out of the office with a poster taken home tonight. So we know he loves this poster. The next thing we want to talk about is art. I also wanted to just let the people who are here know that it's possible that some of the panelists will need to leave after they do their talking. Just there's a lot of plates spinning in the air tonight and this week. So I know Kate is going to go next talking about art, and she is actually supervising some art building construction right now. So Kate Gorman, our art coordinator, art installations coordinator. I got it.
Yes. Hello, everyone. As you can see, I am actually at the lab right now where we fabricate a lot of our artworks. And when Stacy was talking about a person who was doing something right now and would have to leave early, that person was me. But that's cool because it means all of our big art projects are getting underway. And so it's a very exciting time to be involved with art right now. All of our artwork will have to be done obviously before the fest begins. So this is our big time to be hitting the ground running. And we've got a lot that's going to be really amazing this year. With the fest moving outside, it means that we've got an even bigger canvas to be able to create really immersive and fascinating art installations. And that starts with the venues. Each one of the venues this year is going to be having its own individual artist installation, reimagining the space with their own personal perspectives and style. And I'm going to tell you about some of those artists now. We're really pleased because a couple of our venue artists are returning artists who have worked at the fest before, and we've gotten to see their artwork. And so we were really excited to be able to bring some folks back and see what they could do with this brand new large scale art installation stuff. Christina Rolander, who creates these really amazing lush tropical spaces that you might have caught previous years at the Blue Note, will be in the sapling venue. And it's a place that's surrounded by a lot of large trees and some rolling green space. And it was a really great match for her work. The other artist that is returning with our venues is Alicia Eggert. And she, you might be familiar with the neon letter sculpture that she did in Alley A few years back. And she's actually working with a student collective called Velvet Soul from the University of Texas to create a collaborative design for the amphitheater. It sort of focuses on these hybrid animal plant creatures that could be just as at home under a microscope, but will be quite a bit larger for us to be able to see with our naked eyes. Also, we'll be joined by two new artists to True False this year. Jane George is a Chicago-based artist, and she does really playful and colorful installation work that uses a variety of materials. And her installation will be at Sled Hill, which is one of our larger venues right next to Stevens Lake. And our final artist is Giovanna Gonzalez. She's a Miami-based artist who works at an intersection of performance and large geometric structures. And her work will be at 12 Point, the largest and furthest east venue. In addition, we're going to be having a great space called Como Square, where artist Rebecca Solinger, who is also another Fest alum, is going to be bringing a little bit of downtown to the park by having a little twist on a couple of our favorite venues from previous years, like Ragtag, Missouri Theater, and the Blue Note. So that will be definitely something that you'll want to be able to check out as you're moving through the park. And we're also going to be having another inflatable sculpture from Newhouse, the artist group, who on previous years brought us really cool stuff like compound camera and the fabric prism. And they're always an amazing spectacle all on their own and very large. So it'll be good over in the big field. We're also really excited to be welcoming a number of new and returning individual artists to put their installations around. And these all sort of have like a connecting theme, not only moving off of the nature of uncertainty, but they all seem to be creatures of some kind with very different life forces about them. So as you move through the park, you're going to get to encounter some very new, but then also some familiar friends from previous fests. And we're actually working on one of them tonight, but I won't tell you what it is. You'll have to come to the fest and see it for yourself. Does anybody have any questions? Would they be in that chat or anything like that?
No questions as of right now, Kate.
No, okay.
But thank you. This is so exciting.
I think it's
Question
going to
for
be great.
you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Will people need to have a pass or a ticket in order to see the art?
They won't. They can come into the park and see all of the amazing artworks that will be around, just as a normal thing. Like, not all of the artwork is inside of the ticketed venue areas, so it will be a wonderful day just to be, well, we're keeping our fingers crossed for wonderful days, but it'll be a wonderful day because there's art in the park no matter what.
It will be, because we say so.
Yes.
I'm going to knock on wood here at the library.
I've got wood somewhere here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Kate, so much. We appreciate it, and get back to work.
All right, I will. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thanks. I'd like to bring up Martin Kamau, who is our music director, who has just finished announcing the music lineup. If you are on our email list, you probably just got an email probably about 30 minutes ago from us. Take it away.
I'll take it away. Yes. Very excited. We just announced our lineup today. It took a long time. It's been a strange year to book live music, but we got it done just under the gun, under the wire there. I'm very happy about the lineup, honestly. We usually bring people out from all over the country, all over the world. By all over the world, I mostly mean Canada. We weren't able to do that this year, but it was an opportunity to highlight a lot of the great regional talent, especially in Missouri. And I'm really proud about all the local artists we have coming out. Jack Relly from St. Louis, Black Spade from St. Louis, Shy Boys out of Kansas City, the Hoot and Hollers from Columbia's own. None of those guys have ever shared a bill before, I guarantee it. So that's pretty cool that they're all going to be in the same lineup. We were able to bring a few cats out from the coast, mostly the East Coast, in the last few weeks, which I'm excited about. James Tillman, who was here last year, is coming out. Incredible soul singer. Yasmin Williams, who's this just incredible young, prodigious guitar player. Very well acclaimed. It's an honor to have her back again. Nappy Nina, one of my favorite hip hop artists, is coming out. Ohm is returning from Chicago. They came out here a few years ago, a couple times. I'm really excited to come out there. Their profiles increased quite a bit. Dos Santos is the psychedelic Latinx band from Chicago that I'm really excited about coming down. And one under the radar group that I'm really excited about is The Other Years out of Louisville. It's a folk duo that I've just kind of been infatuated with for the 4 or 5 years. So I'm really excited to have them out here. There's really haunting, beautiful Appalachian music. It's gorgeous. Music is going to be all throughout the park on Saturday and Sunday, starting from around 12 and going to around 6. There's going to be 5 showcases on Saturday and 6 showcases on Sunday, and they'll be staggered a little bit. Most of your passes will allow you into those shows, and they'll be safe, socially distanced, and everything like that. We have not, I believe the concerts aren't up on the website yet, but if you are a part of that newsletter mailing list, then you'll have a sneak preview there. But yeah, I'm really excited about what we're bringing out here. We're going to have a virtual busking component for our drive-in films that we're showing throughout the weekend, as well as for our teleported pass, which is our virtual pass option. So that's something a little bit different that we're doing. We are, of course, going to have busking sets, pre-film sets for each film, as we usually do. We aren't going to be passing the hat. We do have yes, we will. We will have music. We'll have music performances before the films and showcases throughout the day. To answer that question, actually, the pre-film sets are going to be a little bit longer than usual, just to make sure everybody's in their proper places and seated and safe. But yes, we will have pre-film sets for every film. Oh, yeah, I was going to say tipping. We are going to continue our tipping tradition. We do have a tipping culture here at True False. But instead of passing a hat during this strange time in our world's history, we are going to switched to electronic tipping via Venmo. So that's, if you're not familiar with how that's used, you will by the end of the fest. By May 10th, you will be a Venmo Pro. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, that's basically all for me. Check out that lineup. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a truncated version compared to years past, but all quality individuals, and I think y'all are going to like it. So, any more questions?
So Martin, I wanted to ask, in the years past, there's been the beautiful venue at the church, right? Like, I know we're not going to have a physical space like that, but that concert was free.
Yes.
Are there any free musical events that attendees can go to as well?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, that's the Sanctuary Showcase, which is always a bit of a reprieve from all the hustle and bustle that's going on around downtown. We are bringing that back this year. It's going to be 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and really excited about the venue for it, actually. It's not going to be in a church, but it's going to be in that island pavilion in the middle of Stevens Lake, which is awesome.
That's
our
epic.
church.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
so hopefully the acoustics carry and kind of soundtrack that lake while everybody's getting to the park. See, and that's going to be, we're going to have Lake Mary, who lives in Columbia now, but he's a pretty acclaimed experimental guitarist. He's going to be playing with this banjoist out of Colorado. His name is Ben Bentelli. They just put an incredible project out this past year called Mule. Lake Mary actually put out 3 projects this past year. He's been extremely prolific in this whatever time this is. Yeah, this
Time has no meaning, right? Like, it just doesn't have
what is
meaning.
time?
It's a construct of humans. Yeah.
So that is going to be a very limited capacity show. Probably 50. David or Carly could probably tell me.
About 100.
100. Okay, cool.
Maybe a little
But
less.
hopefully, if you don't get tickets, you can still hear it. I'm really excited about how the Stevens Lake Park is going to sound Sunday morning. And just one more thing, back to Randy's question about free shows. We will have free shows on Saturday and Sunday as well as the paid shows, and those will be happening midday, roughly 2 to 4, in Como Square, which is our little open air market, little downtown area. If you've ever been out to Art in the Park, that's where Art in the Park is usually held. And we will have music out there. If you want to grab a bite to eat or drink, you will have hopefully be serenaded by live music while you're there. So, and $3.99.
The music is always one of my favorite things. Of course, the film's the showcase piece, but the music is always one of my favorites. And you just do a phenomenal job of bringing this eclectic mix of artists that I don't know a lot of folks would know about if they didn't come. And it just adds so much flavor. So thank you for being here, Martin. Thank you so much.
Randy. Appreciate it.
To mention about the concerts is there are pass levels that music comes with, but you'll have to reserve a ticket. They'll be free, but you do need to reserve those because we have to keep count of how many people are safely in those venues. And then there's a new pass. Do you want to talk about it, Martin, or do you want me to just?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Parks and Rock Pass, which is super silly, but I like it. It's $85 and it gets you into all of the showcases for the weekend. Yeah, I think it's well worth your money. You can get to see a lot of really great acts. Check out the website. There'll be I'm not sure if the website has links to music at the moment, but if you do want to get a little sampling of each artist, you should be able to do that there too.
Pulse.org/music. You can see it if you're not on our mailing list. The navigation link was down earlier because we're getting it all lined up, but you should be able to see it.
Oh.
Thanks, Martin. Are there any other questions?
Carly just asked me to talk about Busker's first stand here, so I will do that. Busker's last stand, for those familiar with the fest, is a long-held tradition that we've had to close out the weekend. at Missouri Theater usually, or right outside, where a bunch of the buskers who've been playing throughout the weekend get together and kind of jam and close out the weekend before people go home and or the after party. We are going, Buster's first stand is how we're going to kick off the fest in the park Saturday morning, and that will be the same type of idea, but it will be, we'll have buskers basically hidden around the park, just if staying underneath the tree, hopefully. Tip them, enjoy them, and move on to the next. I think it's going to be kind of a fun little musical scavenger hunt to kick off the week. Yep, that's it.
Really appreciate it. So we'll move on to Corey Kaufman, who is our COVID compliance officer, a new job for this fest. But I'll let Corey talk a little bit about the safety measures we have in place.
Thanks, Stacy. First, starting off with, I don't know how I got this job. I think in the past I've volunteered to be in charge of weather, and since I've done an excellent job in that in the past years, I'll still go ahead and be in charge of weather. But for some reason, I have a new role here. Obviously, what we're doing this year is because of what's happening out there in the world, and we're all excited that we think that this is going to be something that's going to be done in a way that is, I think, going to be an event where people are not going to be thinking about the virus. They're going to be thinking about the wonderful things that this fest can do. So I do want to give a big thanks to the team that's worked with the health department in creating an operational health plan that's been approved, and it's out there and very, very detailed in terms of how this event is going to happen. But basically, the three key words that I think I focused on: it's masked, it's spread out, and it's open. And all the things that we've been told to do are in place and are going to be asked for everybody to do. I think that most of what we're going to see is stuff that people are used to. And so what I'm hoping is that, what we have is an event where there might be some reminders, there might be some suggestions, there might be some modifications, but for the most part, I think things are going to run real smoothly. Starting off with, I think what most people are going to see is that each of the venues is going to have basically marked off areas, depending on how large of a pod those the people are. And we have pods from 2 to 3 to 4 people. And so what's being asked is that people basically identify how large their pod is. They'll be arriving at each of the venues at different times so that we're not basically piling a whole bunch of people in line. And then when they get to the venue, they'll be asked to, they'll be guided by a staff or a volunteer to that actual pod. And those pods will be, depending on, again, the size of the pod, either 5 feet by 6 feet, 5 feet by 8 feet, or 5 feet by 10 feet wide, which gives them plenty of space. There'll be 6 feet aisles separating each of the pods. And then there'll be directional arrows that basically show, exit one way, go another way. Lots of directions to be painted on or taped on. Not really sure how that's going to happen on the ground. And that's why it can't rain, because it can't wash off those things. So it's not going to rain. There'll be multiple entrances and exits to each of the events to reduce any kind of lines. And then obviously, since we're not really sure how this is going to happen, we'll be monitoring and adjusting any kind of things if we see an area where people are congregating or whatever. The big thing that we're going to be asking people is that they're masked up unless they're actively eating or drinking. And this is going to be a big thing. It's going to be posted everywhere. And all of us are going to be doing a good job of reminding people to do that. The staff also will be wearing masks and will be asked to wash hands. There'll be asking to eat in shifts, and then also for the staff also and volunteers to form pods so that we're not just intermingling with themselves. There's also going to be a clean team. This is a team that's going to be going around the park and disinfecting high touch areas, as well as there'll be daily screening questions to all the staff when they arrive. Like I said, I think that everything that I've seen that's in place is in compliance with what we've been asked to do for the past year. We've done a good job, I think, here in Boone County of doing that, and I have no reason to believe there's going to be anything that's going to be different with this event. So, like I said, the masked, open, and spread out. I think that's really what the reason that we're at the park. And so this is a perfect location for us to do what I think is going to be a absolutely fantastic event. I know earlier there was a question about, are we going to be taking some of the things that we learned this year into next year? And my experience so far with True False as a volunteer and just recently as a core staff member is that we always adapt, we always evolve, we always see what works and doesn't work. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do include some outdoor events in the future. So this is going to be a neat event. I think I'm really looking forward to it, and I know the people that I work with are too.
Any questions about COVID compliance or our health safety plan that Corey can answer? Those questions, or type them in and we can get to them. I know I'm kind of rolling through because we still have lots to go.
Yeah, this is the biggest difference besides the change in venue and everything else. But I know this was a core concern for a lot of folks. So we want to make sure that we create time. If you don't have a question now, you're welcome to drop it into the chat later and we'll certainly come back to it. So
I don't think anybody else is leaving the call from the panel. And so if there's questions that come up or you think of something when somebody else is talking, just throw it in the chat. We're going to have time for a general Q&A at the end, or specific Q&A, or whatever remains to be known. We can get to it after everyone's done. But without any further ado, this is probably the biggest bunch of changes maybe, and we have put it on our newest member of this team. I am super ready to hear it. Let's go, Grady Harrington, our new box office manager for True False Film Fest.
Thanks for the intro, Stacy. My name is Grady, everyone. How's it going? As Stacy said, I'm the box office manager for the fest, as well as Ragtag Cinema, where I've worked for a few years, so some of you may recognize me from my box office and projectionist hats over there. I can probably talk for hours about all the different things I've learned about the fest box office these last few months, so I'm really just going to focus particularly on certain aspects that are different with this year's fest. If you still haven't bought your pass yet, the corresponding benefits to the pass levels are generally the same, but there are some key differences. We've already discussed the music-centered Parks and Rocks pass, but I want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that the biggest difference in pass levels is going to be that Simple only gives you access to one movie each night of the fest, whereas Lux and Above will give you the ability to reserve tickets for the concerts and special events along with the movies. So if you want to participate in all the other aspects of the fest beyond movies, the Lux or the Silver Circle are going to be the way to go. And you may notice that I didn't mention Super Circle, as that pass level has already been sold out. And then another thing to note, if you still need to purchase your pass, is there's been this thing that has come up quite a bit in the last few months that's confused people as we're using a new ticketing system. And part of that is that it prompts you to enter a password when you want to make your purchase, but it's new, so you don't have a password yet. So you need to create an account and a password, and you're going to want to keep that information accessible along with the member number that you'll receive in the confirmation email, because you'll need those when you reserve tickets when that process starts next week. I'm going to drop a link now in the chat. That's this really beautiful and detailed how-to on our website. And you're going to want to keep that, but I'm going to focus on one part of that that's really important, and it's called My Calendar. I know when I was like a pass holder or volunteer, I'd spend all these hours like writing out schedules, like figuring out where movies I could go to. And now you can do that already once the schedule is released later this week through the My Calendar feature on our ticketing system. So big thing about that is you can go in, create your schedule way before where you can do your reservations next week. And that's going to save you a bunch of time and a bunch of headaches when you want to reserve your tickets next week. As for stuff during the fest, I'm going to reiterate some of what Corey mentioned, as when you arrive to the park, you'll be met by a volunteer to receive a pod and a flight assignment. And these may sound weird, but it's essentially the where and when you'll need to be at the specific venue. The pod assignment is going to be that specific location where you and the pods are 2 to 4 people, so you and maybe a couple friends are going to be. And the flight assignment is going to be this 15 window of time that you'll need to arrive at the venue in order to be given taken to your pod. Like I said, pods can be a maximum of 4 people. So if you plan to come in a group larger than that, you're going to need to plan ahead on how you're going to want to split into smaller groups. And then finally, there will still be a queue this year for pass holders. The biggest difference about that is that each pod is going to be given an individual queue card. So 2 to 4 people can have 1 queue card, as opposed to years past where every individual will need to have a queue card. And that's all I've got for now. It's a lot of information and really only the tip of the iceberg. So fire away if you have any questions.
To screen share to show some of that stuff that you were talking about?
Yeah, I can do that. Give me one moment.
Yep, if you want.
Here we go. Looks like Carly beat me to it.
Can you guys all see these pictures?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you'll go to our website. These are some screenshots to kind of walk you through the process, because we're still working on the getting it live, and it'll be live once our schedule goes live on Thursday. You'll come log in with your member number is what we would recommend. We'll send you an email that has that reminder of where that member number can be found, and we'll put it in the email for you. Once you get logged in, you'll hit that little hamburger menu, and it's going to take you to the reservations page, and you're going to see a calendar. Here's an example of what it could look like. You'll see the venues at the top, the times on the side, similar to what you see on our website on a regular year for your schedule. But now you've got this handy little calendar button. And so once you hit that calendar button, it's just it'll turn green, and it's going to add it to a list for you. You can go through the whole schedule. So if you're really trying to decide between these two, you could add both of them for now. And then once you've added all the things that you want to, you'll head up to the top and go to the My Calendar section. And from there, you'll have the when your reservation opens, window opens. So if you're a simple pass holder, your reservations will open on Sunday, April 18th at 6 p.m. And you'll be able to click that button where it says buy tickets, though you've already bought a pass. So instead, when you click that button, it's going to just ask you to make your reservations. You'll toggle this button to 1, because that's how many tickets you can get. You'll add and then keep going. You can go back to your list, which will take you to your calendar, and you can keep adding them from there. And when you're done, you can hit proceed to checkout and make sure that those are all the films that you plan to see. And once you're done, hit checkout, and it's going to send you a confirmation email. You will also have the opportunity to print tickets from home, and we will have digital tickets. So this year you'll get a pass. You'll get a pass, but not an envelope full of tickets. Instead, your pass will have a little QR code on it, and we're just going to scan it when you come up to a venue.
That even though you have that QR code on your pass, if you want to make changes and there are ticket reservations still available for that film, you can make changes to your schedule, and those will be reflected whenever your QR code is scanned. So you're not locked into that unless there's no tickets remaining to be reserved. It's on this. Different part, but it's going to make sense. This make perfect sense since nobody has questions. I wanted to mention, oh, it's my turn anyway. So one thing is that my mic keeps cutting out. So I'm going to plug in somebody else sing something.
Stacy can tell you all about where the box office will be when she shows you a map of the park.
Great. So it also looks like we've got a question about can you provide instructions on how you can teleport? I love that question because outside of this context, that just sounds magical, right?
It's going to be magical. I'll tell you, it's going to be magical. But unfortunately, the teleported purchase window for teleportation passes is over because we have to get everything boxed up, ordered, boxed up, and shipped out in time for the fest. So right now, today, they've been building and filling teleported fest boxes. And that, I think that window ended on April 1st. Oh, Sue has a teleported pass. So I missed the question. I'm so sorry. I jumped in to answer.
If this is the patron I'm thinking about, she comes every year and sits in the front row.
Right, so I want to interrupt and say hi, Sue.
I know, right?
I wanted to say hi to Sue also.
Yeah.
I'm going to let David, David, do you want to talk real briefly about teleported?
Sure. I'll be super brief because it's not going to affect that many folks. But the Teleported Pass is an at-home fest that we've designed. It starts with a box. We've asked you all kinds of questions, Sue, and hopefully you've answered. And the box will arrive on your doorstep right in time for the festival. Teleported comes with a subset of the fest films. So there are 7 features and 4 shorts programs out of the overall 17 features and 4 shorts programs at the festival. The teleported films represent the newest films, the ones that are premiering at True False. That list was announced when we announced our film list. I identified which films were part of the Teleported Fest. You can find that on our website, but we'll also be sending you your own email letting you know exactly what films you get and the order they appear. Just like at the fest, each film has its own day. Unlike the fest, that day comes with film-specific snacks and scents for your room that you can spray around and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty fun. We designed this pass for folks who either didn't live in Columbia and couldn't get to the fest, or who did live in Columbia and for any number of reasons couldn't come to the fest live. So we're excited for all of our teleporters, and you'll be hearing lots more soon about that.
All right. I think what I was getting ready to say before my mic decided it was done working for the day was that there are a few things I think we want to encourage everybody who's coming to the fest to get their accounts ready for, like getting a Venmo account set up, getting your account name and password in Agile, which is our ticketing system. And then our virtual platform is called Shift 72. And you can find a link to, now I'm going to test my knowledge. There's a virtual FAQ page on our website, and I would encourage you to go there, and there will be a link to sign up for that. That is Shift 72 is our, I hate to even say we have a rain plan because it's not going to rain, but if we do, there will be an opportunity to watch a film if we have to cancel a film on Shift 72, the virtual platform. And you'll want to have go ahead and get that set up just so that you're ready to go. As soon as, if we need to employ that, then you'll deploy that, then you'll be ready to rock and roll. Then, yeah, those are the things that I think you should have set up ahead of time. The other general logistics I wanted to talk about, Carly, if you can share the fest map. This is when I get excited about the map. It looks like there was a question. Oh, no, it's not. It's a website.
It reminds me of my Dora Explorer days with my young son. It's all about the map.
Yeah.
You just
trying
start
to
talking and I'll move it around for you, Stacy.
Oh my goodness, really? Okay. The song about the map is coming to my brain ever so slowly from my son's Dora the Explorer days. Let's go to where you're gonna. Let me talk about shuttles first. How do you get to the park? You can get to the park using our shuttle system, which look at that cute little school bus. There's going to be school buses with all their windows down to keep them well ventilated. They're going to pick up at three locations, three parking garages, and Rose Music Hall. I've already been quizzed on this afternoon. So the parking garages are the one across from Tiger Hotel. That is a 8th and Cherry Street garage, but it'll pick you up on the Tiger Hotel that side, not on the Tiger Hotel side of the street, but on that side of the garage. That would be the 8th Street side. The 10th and Cherry parking garage by Ragtag Cinema. And then the 5th and Walnut parking garage. Those are the shuttle stops downtown. We encourage people to use the garage just on the weekend. It's free, and you get a free hour during the weekdays. And I just think they're super handy to use. So they'll drop you off in one of two locations when you get to the park. The first stop is the old 63 parking lot, which is where that little bus is right now. The second stop is over by Reichman Pavilion, which is down East Walnut Street. The box offices are located, the main box office is located at Reichman Pavilion, behind Reichman Pavilion. And it has specific hours, and also the pass pickup will be over here at the box office, but we'll have a drive-through pass pickup. All of these things will be announced to pass holders before that time happens. But I know that there will be a day for drive-through pickup, a couple of days, and then you can pick them up just by walking into the box office. There's also a satellite box office that is in the Como Square area. Other ways to get to the park, well, Como Square, which is down there, by the old 63 entrance. The other ways to get to the park would be by bicycle, and you can see we'll have bike racks in this area here by the old 63 parking lot near the spray grounds, as well as over by Reichman Pavilion. You can ride your bike around the outside loop of the park on the pink, where the pink arrows are. Inside, where the blue arrows are, those are pedestrian pathways. So we want you to park your bike and walk around, but if you wanted to take your bike all the way around, you can take the outer loop. If you wanted to ride your bike at night on East Walnut Street, you're going to need to have front and back lights on your bike. Otherwise, the police officer will not let you ride your bike on East Walnut Street. The other things about a ride, or you can walk to the park. We will not have parking available close to the park, like across. There's the Boone Hospital lot. There's a grocery store, Clover's. Is it Clover's across Broadway? Those are all private parking. You cannot park there. There will be accessible parking at Reichman Pavilion parking lot and at the old 63 parking lot. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about was especially the entryway into the amphitheater, because I've always entered the amphitheater from the old 63 parking lot, but you can, when you get dropped off there, you would want to head around on the path and take a nice little scenic route and to enter from the top of the hill. The reason being that is a really steep hill, and trust me, you don't want to walk up it. So we're going to have the entrances. There's two entrances from the top of the hill where you can go in and get to your pod, and then you'll exit out the bottom over past where the stage is. Oh, thank you, Carly. The yellow circles are where you will enter from. Let's see. I think Grady covered this, the flight system, which is how you'll reserve your spot to sit in. I feel like we'll have a lot of questions about this. What will happen is when you arrive to the park, you'll need to go to the box office or the venue that your film is showing in that night and see one staff member and let them know you've got a pod of, say, 3 people, you've got an 8:45 screening at the amphitheater, and they will give you your pod number, which if Carly zooms in on there, this will be, you'll be able to, oh, can't hear you, Carly. Anyway, what we've been saying is they'll give you your pod number, which is, we always say L5. But once we get it zoomed in, you'll be able to see each of those pods are numbered with a letter and a number. And you can get there, you'll get your time that you need to arrive, and then you'll load in at that time. It could be, actually, I'm not sure about this. How early will people be able to load into the venues?
Venues will open 1 hour before film time. So usually we open 30 minutes before, and this time we'll open an hour.
So we'll have plenty of time for people to load in, get their space. You can bring a picnic to eat or drink, and just enjoy the music, have a good time. The other things I wanted to talk about, let's see, we got shuttles. There's events that are happening, and I believe we've got everything has been approved except for Como Square, which we expect to be and kickball. So keep your fingers crossed. We're going to have a kickball game in the big field, but we have a new event this year, a couple new events. One would be the Flicknick, which is happening on, oh my goodness, let me see. The Flicknick is Thursday evening, which is a big picnic. Somebody asked me the other day, why are we calling it the Flicknick? What does that mean? It's a picnic, but it's a Flicknick at 6 to 7:30 in the big field. And I'm not sure what happened to the map, but Carly is making adjustments to it or something. She just loves working in InDesign and adjusting the maps. But the way it's going to work is you pick up your food from one spot, you walk down, you pick up your drink from that spot, and you keep walking, moving the group of people all along, and then you'll pick a spot in big field that your pod will hang out in, and you'll have a lovely picnic over here. That's big field is aptly named. It's the big field in the park. There's also food trucks that'll be down in that parking lot as well. So you go, you find your pod. We're not assigning pod locations for this one. Is that correct?
We will provide pod assignments. They're just not on this map yet.
Okay.
And our staff will be there and volunteers will be there to show you where your seats are.
Basically, at any point that you might get confused, there will be a staff member or a volunteer that can help you through this. I feel like once we get there, people are gonna, the week before, are gonna be filled with all the questions. So everyone who's on this call can help be ambassadors. I think that thinking about what we've learned and trusting that people are gonna explain it when you get there. But if you have a little bit of this knowledge ahead of time, it's going to help you right along. The other event that I wanted to talk about is on Sunday morning, Waffles with Wilson, which is going to happen in the amphitheater, where we can, mostly what I'm excited about is watching David Wilson try to cook 100 waffles and interview people at the same time. So that's going to be exciting. Another question we get is about Gimme Truth and oh my goodness, 200 waffles. David has really upped the ante now. I've been saying 100 waffles, but he's going to cook 200 in an hour. He has a collection of vintage waffle makers, so that's what makes it so exciting. The other Gimme Truth is happening. It's Saturday night. It is at that. Hang on, it's going to be at the amphitheater. Thanks for helping me, Carly. Brian Babylon, our fabulous MC for that event, is gonna be back this year. Applications for Gimme Truth are open now, so you should make your fully true or fully false film and get those turned in the next week or two. And that's going to happen on Saturday night as usual. Action is going to be the first, biggest, funnest pod dance party you ever did see. I think there's going to be pod dance challenges happening, but you'll be dancing in your party pod, ready to have a great time. We'll have a great DJ. It's going to be awesome. I'm ready and excited to do some dance challenging. The other thing is, what was the other? Oh yeah, campfire stories. So it's exciting to me because I love campfire stories. The best thing about it this year is it's going to happen 3 times. So Friday, oh my goodness, you guys, it's been a long day. Hang on, campfire stories. Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, Friday through Sunday. I was right the first time. It's going to happen at Council Circle. Usually what happens at Campfire Stories is we have filmmakers who tell a story on the one night. It's usually just on Friday night. And this year it's 3 nights. We'll have filmmakers, musicians, and artists each telling a story about uncertainty in their life or in their career. And it's going to be a really intimate, really fun. Council Circle is a really fun sort of feature at Stevens Lake Park. It is a circle with like a circular retaining wall there, and it's just a really cool space that if you haven't spent a lot of time in every corner of Stevens Lake Park, you may not have noticed this. The other cool thing is, so that's in the evening, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Disco Garden is right across the walking path from that, and that is for there's some events in the Disco Garden for Silver Circle Pass holders and above, and the FET will happen there, and a couple other of events for Silver and above pass holders. And the way those will work is you'll enter at the first, the western entrance off the path where you see the blue arrows starting. There'll be a bar located where the white oval is, and then you walk back, you'll wind through this gorgeous, beautiful, I just can't wait to see it in the spring. It's going to be really pretty. You'll walk through that path, exit over where Carly has just drawn that arrow, and then you'll find your party pod and hang out, eat your food. If you want to go get more drinks, there's another bar located down on the right side there. And that's going to be another just really pretty location. I think those are the logistics that I usually cover. I'm throwing off my game because my friend Grady got to take care of a bunch of those harder logistics, which is awesome. Oh yeah, you can bring this is the other thing I want to talk about. You can bring blankets and lawn chairs. We will not be providing seating. So bring your blanket or lawn chair. There are some spots that are better for lawn chairs and some that don't work well, some of the venues that don't work well with lawn chairs. So there's 4 venues at the park. The amphitheater has some good flat spots right up at the top and at the very bottom on the western side of it. Sled Hill right around the top, again, has some flat spots, but I sure wouldn't want to try and sit a chair on that hill. The other 12 Point and Sapling are great venues for having a chair. Most people, the biggest question is, where can I set my lawn chair? And then blankets anywhere you want are good. And then the drive-in is at the Holiday Inn Executive Center. And the way sound works for that is an FM transmitter. You use the radio in your car to produce the sound. And then, like Martin said, there'll be a virtual busker, which I think is super fun and exciting. That'll also come through your FM radio. I'm sure Carly loves being spotlit while she's not talking. Is there any questions? I feel like I talked about the venues. We got our blankets. We got our other stuff. My mouse has also now decided not to work, so I can't see the question. Oh yeah, it's working again. Does anybody have any questions about logistics or any other things? Because we've covered everything except films. I hear somebody tapping.
Oh, that's me, probably too close to my microphone. Yeah.
Are you thinking of a question, Brandy?
No, I was going to invite people to speak now or forever hold your peace. Actually, that's not true. You're always welcome to call the library and ask for me. I'll be glad to help. And you know, those folks at True False are always wonderful to help. Do you have a box office number or an email address where people could get in touch with you?
Yeah, info@truefalse.org is a great email. The box office phone number is 442-TRUE. There you go. Carly's throwing those in the chat right now. We are definitely here to help answer any questions. Yeah, you can email box office. I'm always happy to help people with questions. I know that we all get really excited and just are ready to do anything we can for you to have a great experience. Also, you can tune in on Fridays from 4:45 to 5:15, depending on how chatty Barbie and I get. We have every Friday for the last month, I think, or so, we've done a Ask Me Anything on Facebook Live on our True False page. And those are recorded as well, so you can go back and watch those. Tons of information. If you're not on our email list, I would really encourage you to send an email to info@truefalse.org and ask to be put on our email list. And if you are just now doing that, I would say in the body of that email, ask to be sent the mini email newsletters that we've been sending out. We have sent out, I think we just sent out our 6th one today. There is just so much information to get out about this year. We've been sending twice weekly emails that try and break it down really specifically, but in chunks that you can take in. So you're not trying to take everything in all at once. Those will be a great resource for people to be able to, read up on everything in greater detail. But I think we've covered pretty much all the things we get most of the questions about.
Another question I had, and this isn't too pressing, but how big is your army of volunteers this year? Because it's got to be pretty vast when you think about how spread out this space is.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because if anybody is watching this and thinks, I'd like to be a part of this, we still are in need of some volunteers. Normally our army of volunteers is close to 1,000. This year we're looking for about 250, 300-ish, something like that. So it's smaller than usual. I know it seems like we're in this giant space, but we only, we just have the 4 venues. It's just a little bit different. And so we don't need quite as many volunteers, but we do still need some. So definitely sign up. There's lots of ways you can get your hours in before the fest. And volunteers get to have a pass so that they're able to queue and get into films without paying for them, as long as there's space remaining.
Is the parking in the garages downtown, is it free? I think it's free over the weekend anyway.
It's free on the weekends, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there's no ticket.
Our parking garages are awesome in that they're free on the weekend. I feel like sometimes I work for the parking authority for the district, because
they're also free after 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's true. The parking
on the weekdays
after 6, whereas the meters you have to pay till 7. So just be sure to pay attention. If it says permit only above this level, they really do mean it. Don't ask me how I know. Even if the sign says open on the outside and there's no open spaces in the, anyway. So I've just been gabbing so that anybody who had questions would have time to type those in. But without further ado, I am going to see if Angela is still awake. and bring her up. Angela is one of our newest, she's one of our newest, a new film programmer to our team, but certainly not new to the art of programming films for our fest. Please welcome Angela Catalano.
Thanks so much, Stacy, and thanks, y'all. This is a lot of information, so I appreciate you sticking with us to hear about our films. I think to piggyback a little bit off of what David and Martin were talking about earlier, this was a unique year for us in terms of film curation. We've had to pare down our film selection because we're outdoors, and so we can only show films at night. And so what that meant for our programming team is that we really got to focus, the best films that we could find. And as David mentioned, we don't curate films based on a theme, but I do think this year there was a really nice through line that developed once we got to the end of it, in thinking of this sense of discovery. And we have a lot of first-time feature filmmakers this year, which for us is really great to champion new work, especially in a year in which it's really difficult for filmmakers to get their work out into the world. It seems like it would be easier because of the internet, but it brings different challenges. So we're really excited about that part, all these new voices in the nonfiction world. So I'm gonna, as much as I want to talk about every film, I'm gonna just spotlight a couple, and I'll leave some for David to wrap us up. The first film I want to highlight is from a True False alum named Pete Nix. We are very happy to be showing the third in his Oakland trilogy. We've previously shown his films The Waiting Room and The Force. And so this final film is called Homeroom. And Homeroom focuses on the 2019-2020 school year at Oakland High School. And we sort of know how 2020 ends, right? But the beginning of this, we get to experience these very active, primarily seniors, that are really advocating for the student body in a lot of ways, whether it's political action, to getting seats on the school board to enact real change for their, for the generation behind them as well. And once COVID hits, the students, they navigate this with such resilience and maintain this sense of community and organization throughout. It's a really beautiful and really inspiring film. So not only is it great to bring back a filmmaker that we've gotten to share with you before, but to bring something that is hopeful and inspiring, particularly as there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel in this pandemic. It carries a lot of weight. It's really exciting. So we're thrilled to have that film. We are also thrilled to be hosting the world premiere from a first-time filmmaker called Songs That Flood the River. It is a film from Colombia, and it focuses on this really powerful, beautiful woman named Oneida, and she has experienced a multitude of traumas, including a massacre that took place in 2002, and which was part of one of the longest running wars in modern history. We did a little research, and it's truly incredible and really terrifying. But what makes Oneida such a powerful subject throughout this film is that she navigates her trauma through songs. And so I hesitate to call this a musical, but I feel like in our programming room, we sort of talked about how the music carries you through this film in such a wonderful way, and the songs get stuck in your head. And I think, again, like reflecting on our sort of collective trauma of living a year indoors with COVID, it's a really beautiful portrait of how there are different ways to work through that and process trauma. And so I hope you're able to catch that film as well. Lastly, I want to, I'll leave our True Life Fund film for David. The last one I would like to highlight, those are True Vision recipient this year. Her name is Rosine Mbakam. We previously showed her film Chez Jolie Coiffeur, and we're really thrilled to be showing her debut, her third feature film called Delphine's Prayers. We'll also be featuring her feature film debut called The Two Faces of a Bamileke Woman. Those Rosine's work is really, there's a compassion and an intimacy in her work. And the way that we sort of thought about how all of her films fit together is the way in which she co-creates narratives with her subjects. She is very much a part of her films, and there's this mutual understanding that you can feel between her and her subjects in how she shares their story, and how her subjects are involved in that process as well. So I'll leave that. I'll leave the rest for David, so I don't keep going on that. But I'm really excited to see y'all in the park. It's going to be really beautiful watching films underneath the stars, physically distanced, but experiencing something collectively again, I think is going to be wonderfully cathartic for all of us. And does anyone have any questions for me? Otherwise, we can save them through after David as well.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. The first one I want to talk about is a film called From the Wild Sea. Robin Petre is the director. This is a film that looks at assorted marine wildlife rescue efforts in the North Sea off the coast of the UK and Ireland. It's a really lovely film. It's a very sort of patient film. You just spend some time with both the rescuers and the rescued, the animals, and the people who are out there combing the coasts looking for them. You get to see their practice sessions, how they think about, getting what they would do if they found a beached whale, and then you get to see what they do. Like I said, it's a lovely film. It's a really tender film. There's some very cute animals in the film. And even though some of them are in distress, I think it's a really great experience. And that's called From the Wild Sea. Let's see. I'll talk about Sabaya. This is our True Life Fund film this year. This is an action movie. There are car chases. There are bullets being shot at the camera. And there are incredibly brave women who, having gotten themselves out of some really dicey situations, decide to go back in to a refugee camp in northeast Syria, which is largely controlled by Daesh. We know them also as ISIS. And in those camps, there are Yazidi women who are being held as slaves. And these women put on a niqab and hide a camera inside it and go back in to try to find the women who are being kept there and help them get out. And there's two men, Ziad and Mohammed, who run a group called the Yazidi Home Center, who aid these women in escaping. And so this film, Sabaya, is about this project, this rescue project that's taking place. These volunteers who risk their lives. I think there's no surprise that it's our True Life Fund film this year. We look for films of heroic action, of everyday people doing absolutely not everyday things. And Sabaya is very much that film. I'm really excited to share this one with audiences. And I think people are going to be incredibly moved by it. And then I'll mention, I guess I'll just close up by mentioning a big one for us, one that folks may have already heard about and be talking about. It's called Summer of Soul. It's the first film made by Questlove from The Roots, also from The Tonight Show, Jimmy Kimmel. And it is about a singular concert that took place in Harlem in 1969. But it's not just a music film. It's a film about culture, a film about people, a film about political struggle. It's just a joyful, inspiring movie, and one that is going to be huge this year with audiences all over the country. And True False actually has the first in-person screening of this film. It premiered at Sundance, but it was entirely virtual. And so coming out to the park during True False will be the first chance of any audience in the world to see this film surrounded by other people. And it's going to be amazing. So get your passes and come check it out.
Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it. And Angela, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys talking about some of those films more in depth. The other thing I was going to mention is that we still have passes for sale, Simple Passes, Parks and Rock, Lux, and Silver Circle passes are still available. If you have any questions about those, you can contact us at info@truefalse.org, or you can contact me at Stacy with an IE at truefalse.org. I'm happy to help. Then after pass sales close and ticket reservations have been made, or reservations for films have been made, then you are able to, on April 20th, start purchasing single tickets to films. And this is one thing that's different this year, is that you can reserve those or purchase those online through our new ticketing system, which I think is super exciting. It's going to be a lot easier for people to do that. You won't have to go to the box office and wait in line. You can just purchase those tickets, print them out, or bring your receipt on your phone and get that scanned at the park. So that is going to make things a lot simpler for folks. We're really excited to get to roll this out this year. We know we're going to have a lot less people attending this year, just because we had to cut those numbers way down in order to be in COVID compliance, and just make sure that we're safe. The biggest, most important thing for us is that we have a safe event. We want everybody to come away with this, from this, inspired and healthy, and have experiencing a lot of joy and time out in the sun together, and just, you know, emerging from this, you know, I don't have to say any more about it, but emerging from this time, having a great experience together. But we definitely want it to be safe. So a lot of the ticket list things we put into place this year, I think, anyway, those will make things a lot easier. I'm excited, as you can tell. I can't stop talking about it. Are there any questions? Or Brandy, can you think of anything? This is the first time Brandy has heard most of this. Everybody on the panel has done this a few times. So I would love to hear if Brandy has any questions, because she has led this panel for how many years, Brandy?
It's been a lot. It's probably 6 or 7 now that we've been doing this program. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful.
So
I just have to give you all props, because the restrictions in which you are working with and the quality of experience that you are still lovingly curating for our community is so phenomenal. I can feel it. Like, I can feel the enthusiasm in every one of our panelists this evening. Everyone clearly loves what they do and loves this community, the greater community, not just Columbia, but everyone that comes to celebrate True False in our boundaries. We love it. I love it. And as you said, safety is paramount, and you've clearly taken a lot of steps to make sure that folks feel comfortable coming out in these spaces. So thank you. Yeah, I asked the question about the parking garage and asking about, I feel like we should have a separate email about just the checklist of things, like to get the Venmo stuff set up. That was really helpful. I definitely want to give props to the email marketing team there, because that's how I've been able to digest it. And as I have questions, I can search my email to look through the sound bites that you've been giving people in digestible chunks. Can you imagine if that was a singular email? Oh my goodness. No, yeah.
I don't want to think about writing that singular email. That would have been a nightmare. So giving it out as we get it approved is kind of how we've been sending it out to the public. So, you know, we're still getting things approved and finalized, you know, a month out. But I believe that everything's going to come through, and it's going to be an amazing 5 days.
It's going to be phenomenal. And as you mentioned, they've got email, they've got phone numbers, they're there in the chat. We will have this recording available on the library's YouTube channel. So if you know somebody who was not able to make it for the program tonight, please do share that video. Again, you'll find it linked from our website as well as the library's social media. So I honestly can't think of anything right now. And I just want to thank you all for your time. It's always precious, but it's even more so right now, knowing the deadline that you're working on.
I'm really glad.
Merch.
Yeah, I'm really glad for this. In fact, I wrote it really big on my notepad, but I went to a different page to look at what to talk about tonight.
Yes, Christina comes every year with her table. Oh my goodness.
So glad.
Thank you, Lauren.
The biggest thing I want to say about merch is, for the first time ever, because of the logistics of this year, everything that we are selling is online right now before the fest. Normally, we don't put it online until after the fest, but to sort of reduce the number of crowded people at the venue. Well, we won't be selling at the venues. There won't be merch at the venues, but there'll be merch at the box office and merch at the satellite box office. But we'd really encourage you to pre-purchase your merch. You can look online at the website, and I know we keep throwing it up there, but truefalse.org shop. And then you can look at everything, almost everything. I should say almost everything. There's a few little like one-off things or like things that we maybe only have a dozen of that you'll need to go and see some handcrafted items that will be in the actual merchandise store. But if you can at all look at things online, you can place your order and pick it up when you pick your passes up. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
That's lovely. That
you can
is
either
so
pick
lovely.
it up with your pass, or you can pick it up early at Make Sense. Christina, who owns Make Sense downtown on 9th Street, is our merch queen, and she graciously will have all those things packaged up for you and ready to go if you want to come by the store. You would just, when you purchase online, you just have to put a note. There's a spot for notes, and you would just say pick up with my pass or pick up at Make Sense.
Good to know.
Yeah.
We have another question here from Helen. Will individual drive-in tickets be available for purchase through the True False website?
On April 20th, when Carly has something to say about it.
Yeah, Helen, that's a great question. We actually just talked about it today, and I don't know if Stacy knows.
I was just going to act like it was a regular ticket. So
it is. So it is for the drive-in, an individual ticket. So if you're not a pass holder, an individual ticket will run $40. So that's roughly, if you had 4 people in your car, that's $10 a person. If you're a pass holder, only one person in your car needs a ticket to the drive-in. So if Stacy and I and Martin were all going to go to the drive-in together, only one of us needs to have a ticket for that. So it's kind of a nice perk. If you're a pass holder, you get to go to the drive-in for a little bit cheaper than the individual ticket.
So a follow-up to that would be, if you are a pass holder, but your 3 best friends are not pass holders, they can come with you and they don't have to have a pass for True False.
Correct. Just for the drive-in.
Yeah, just the drive-in. They can't come to your party pod. They're going to have a pass for that.
Correct.
Great question, Helen. Thank you. I feel like we should just have some music playing while we wait for other questions.
I know. If I wasn't at work, this would just be a happy hour.
Randy and I can just chat and keep things going.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, David he's timing out, and I don't blame him. It's almost 8 o'clock.
David to go to bed, everybody. So David's gonna go night-night. And if there are no other questions, I guess the rest of us can call it a night as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Brandy, you can wrap it up. Take us home, Brandy.
Okay. Again, that website, truefalse.org, will help you figure out whatever else you need about the fest. Reach out to them via email, via phone, and you can also call your friendly librarian right here, Brandy Sanchez at the Daniel Boone Regional Library. I can also help answer any questions that are within my wheelhouse. If not, I might know a few friends who can help me. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.